Hey everyone, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. More blessings to you and your families. I hope you're all doing well. Today I wanted to continue my discussion about the previous episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 5, Episode 15. And I wanted to talk about Marceau's comments about Melody, or Martell, upgrading from Ariane to Sheree, or from Melody to Sheree. So essentially Marceau sees Sheree as an upgrade. But before I get into that, I wanted to tell you guys about a new Patreon tier that I've created for tarot readings, and there's two tiers that I have at this point. One tier is for the yearly readings, which will only be billed once per year, and another tier is for monthly and bi-weekly readings for each sign. If you become a Patreon member for the second tier, which is the monthly and bi-weekly readings, you will automatically receive a $15 discount on your orders from the website. So in the order form, all you have to do is indicate whether or not you're a Patreon member, and a discount is automatically applied to your order. If you're paying via CashApp, you have to do the calculations manually and deduct $15 from your order, okay? I'm going to start posting the yearly readings today. I'm going to do 4 per day, and the bi-weekly tarot readings will be posted on the 1st and the 15th of each month. So over the course of the next few days, you should start seeing the yearly readings posted in the first tier I told you guys about, and the weeklies will be posted starting on January 1st. I also began to archive the Love and Marriage Huntsville content. So if you want to have access to the old recordings that I did predicting much of the nonsense that we're seeing now, you can become a member of that tier, okay? So on to Marceau and Sheree and Martell and Melody and Ariane. So I haven't really spoken much about Sheree and Martell's relationship because Sheree seems to be unproblematic. She hasn't said or done anything disrespectful towards Melody or towards any woman in general since we've known of her from Real Housewives of Atlanta. I mean, she gets into drama on the show. I don't watch the show at all, but she seems to be somebody who people like and who's not a messy, problematic person, okay? So I pretty much stayed away from her relationship with Martell. But I did say a year ago that Martell would only claim a woman who is of equal or greater social status than Melody. Martell is a clout chaser too, just like I believe Marceau and some of the other cast are. I said a year ago that Martell, although he's attracted to Ariane, he is embarrassed of her. She reminds him of struggle, of poverty, of pain, of loss and lack, and he's basically punishing her for having the audacity to keep the child that he put in her body, because that pretty much put a kibosh on his marriage. So even though Melody filed for divorce prior to finding out that Martell had gotten Ariane pregnant, the fact that she was pregnant made reconciliation impossible. It was not going to happen at that point. And I believe then, as I do now, that Martell resents Ariane for that. So anyway, in the previous episode, Marceau was contemplating about how Melody would feel, or how Ariane felt, about Martell dating someone more famous than Sheree, okay? TMZ was not really interested in Melody until Martell started dating Sheree, and then they interviewed her, right? Which I thought was unnecessary and stupid. Like, I don't know, why would they reach out to her to talk about her ex-husband and his new girlfriend? That's just messy to me. They should have left her alone. But anyway, Marceau was comparing Melody to Sheree. And again, the reason why I did not talk about Sheree in the past is because she wasn't really comparing herself to Melody the way Ariane was. The reason why people went in on Ariane was because she was comparing herself to Melody, who's the mother of Martell's 4 children. And when you compare yourself to somebody, you will attract more scrutiny because people will want to know who and what you're comparing yourself to. And so a lot of the content creators, including myself, wanted to know why Ariane thought she was a better catch for Martell than Melody. And when we conducted the comparative analysis, we concluded that Ariane was delusional about her value compared to Melody, okay? Martell may have said things to her or done things with her to make her feel as if she was equal to his wife, but the truth of the matter is most married men do this when they're cheating on their wives to keep their mistresses hooked onto them, okay? All right. So with all that said, I don't necessarily think that Sheree is an upgrade from Melody. Okay. And to illustrate my point, I'm going to talk about a woman named Evelyn Lozada. Evelyn Lozada is a professional groupie who dated professional athletes with lots of money. She dated Antoine Walker for a long time. He took care of her children, and gave her lots and lots of money. And when he went broke, she decided to leave him because his cheating became unbearable. His cheating was not unbearable when he had a lot of money. It became unbearable when he lost all his money, and it is what it is, right? So years and years ago, I heard that Antoine Walker gave Evelyn like 6 figures to start a business or to hold the money for him. I heard somewhere like $500,000. I heard $150,000. I heard it was 6 figures, okay? He gave a professional groupie hundreds of thousands of dollars to start a business or to hold the money for him. Of course, she has nothing to show for it because she lacks the adequate knowledge, skills, and discipline to build something sustainable with that kind of money, okay? And so here's my point. I don't put famous people on a pedestal just because they're famous, especially if they're not talented and they're only famous because they are dating somebody more famous than them. I don't respect the Kardashian family at all. And it disgusts me how many people in our community, in our society, emulate these women because they want to live a life of luxury and leisure off of having sex with rich and famous and successful men who bust their ass to become successful, right? So instead of me working hard, I'm going to work you hard. That's their mentality. I don't respect women who think this way. I wish I did because it would make my life a whole lot easier, but I don't respect people, men and women, who do that. I'm a Saturnian person, so I really appreciate and value and respect hardworking individuals. Even if the job isn't perfect, right? Even if you're making minimum wage or you're a sanitation worker or a plumber or an electrician, the people who are blue collar or skilled labor, a doctor, lawyer, teacher, these are individuals who bring value to society, okay? To me. If you're a housewife, you also bring value to society because you're taking care of your babies and you're giving them a safe and secure home. So it's not just about that, right? Back in the day, housewives were just as skilled as their husbands, okay? In the good old days in the Black community that we talk about, in the 40s and 50s and 60s, the housewives were growing their own food. They were killing their own livestock. They were sewing and washing their own clothes, okay? This is why we had home economics back in the day. Learning how to maintain a household, that's a skill. So this is no shade to housewives either. And I'm including them in this category. Women and men who use their intellect, their skills, and their energy to add value to society are, to me, more valuable than individuals who are famous just for being famous. All right? Over the past 10 to 15 years, we've seen women like Black China, like India Love, like Amber Rose. These are beautiful women who use their looks to get access to wealthy, successful men and to start some sort of career for themselves, okay? Lori Harvey is pretty much following the same blueprint. But the 3 women I just mentioned, India Love, Black China, and Amber Rose, these are beautiful women who became famous or well known because of their appearance, right? So their beauty got them in the door. It got them money. It got them access to a network of successful, powerful people. But because they were not competent or skilled in any area besides marketing their sexuality, these women did not capitalize on their opportunities the way they should have, or the way they could have if they, again, were not just resting on their beauty. The reason why I love the show Love and Marriage Huntsville from the very beginning, is because I saw 2 beautiful Black married people, a family, adding value to the community. Okay, Martell and Melody are both attractive people. Melody didn't say, I'm just going to rest in my beauty and marry a successful doctor. She could have done that. And it's no shade to anybody who does that. If you want to be a housewife, that's what's up. Just make sure you are a good housewife that brings value to the household, right? So I loved the initial premise of the show. And I became invested in the cast of the show more than any other reality TV show that I've watched besides the Braxton Family Values and the first 2 seasons of Black Ink Crew. Okay, then it got messy after they got rid of Puma and Sassy. But anyway, I respected these 2 people because they were not just selling real estate, they were building real estate and managing properties. So they were bringing value and wealth to their community by building things that were sustainable and valuable to the collective. Versus somebody who married someone with money and now they're living in a big mansion and eating and drinking all day and fighting over bullshit because they have nothing productive to do with their lives. I don't want to see that. That's not interesting to me. It may be interesting to other people, and that's okay. But because of that, I don't necessarily put Sheree above Melody in that regard. Yes, she's more famous than Melody and she can get Martell in certain doors, but unless you have skills, work ethic, and discipline, you're not going to be able to maneuver in those spaces and create opportunities for yourself financially. The reason why Kim K became so successful is because of her mother, number one, who is an expert gold digger, and because she aligned herself with men who were so rich and powerful that she had no choice but to fall forward. She wasn't going to fall back like Amber Rose, okay, who is now defacing herself and has nothing to show for like 15 years in the industry besides a slut walk. Amber Rose was in a position to be a really successful model, from my opinion, because she was naturally beautiful. She looked really unique. Nobody looked like her back then. She was a gorgeous woman, but because she was pretty much a stripper when she met Kanye West, she took her stripper mentality into the spaces where you're dealing with millionaires and movers and shakers and captains of industry. And so when you have that mentality, you can only use what you know or use what you have, right? So if you're used to being rewarded just for being pretty, then you're going to go in these spaces with these really successful and powerful men and women, and that's all you have to offer until you're 40 years old. Nobody wants to mess with you anymore because you had a couple of babies and you're now considered washed, because in that industry, in the sex industry, youth is a commodity. So you have young girls who are in their 20s or late teens even coming out to Hollywood wanting to take your spot, and you didn't solidify your position because you don't have the skill set or the mindset to do this. This is similar to what Martell is going through with Sheree. I think they're broken up now, but if Martell had dated Sheree, yes, she would have gotten them onto magazine covers and on the red carpet, and they would have looked good together, I guess, in a sense. But what would he have been doing to stay in that position, right? To maintain this spot within the elites of Atlanta. Real estate agents, doctors, lawyers, restaurateurs. Like, what would Martell be doing to fit in those spaces? Because he could barely give a public speech for his own wine company. Melody wasn't just an asset to Martell because she was young, beautiful, and fertile. She was an asset because she knows how to build things. She's a natural businesswoman, okay? And so if you put her in a room with a bunch of successful people, she's going to figure out how to get her own bag off of these associations, on these relationships, okay? She's not going to sit back and say, you know what? Here I am. I made it now. I'm at these parties. I'm in the clubs. I'm in the neighborhoods. I made it. I don't have to do nothing else but show up. That is not how Melody operates. And so whoever she dates, she'll bring value to them because she's an asset in any relationship that she's in. This is why her so-called friends were so devastated when she pulled her energy back from them, because she had become a reliable source of comfort, of support, of resources for the people in her group. And so even with the idea for the show, this is her idea. This is her brainchild. So Melody is a very productive person. She's constructive with her trauma. And I talked about this a year ago. Some people use their trauma to destroy others, and some people use their trauma, they work their trauma to create and build opportunities for other people. That's one of the reasons why I also have respect for Melody. Not because I didn't see she had any flaws, of course not, but because she was transmuting the energy of her trauma to help other people, to build something of value to her community. Even though the company was for her family and her children, for the most part, she was building homes, okay? She wasn't selling her ass. She wasn't on drugs. She wasn't promoting rap music. The problem that we have in our society, in the Black community, I'm not talking about white people, they do their own thing. Since deindustrialization, okay, when the jobs were outsourced to Asia in the 60s and 70s, since that time period, we stopped valuing hard work, right? We started to put the drug dealers and the strippers and the whores and the athletes on the pedestal over the blue collar worker. Blue collar meaning lawyers, doctors, teachers, technicians, electricians, plumbers, sanitation workers, people who use their hands and their knowledge and their skills to provide valuable services and products for the community. Okay, so again, when we started to elevate the entertainers and the drug dealers and the strippers and etc., we lost a sense of work ethic. Not everybody. I'm talking about the culture of the community by and large. We treat people who are in the service industry like trash. I always tip when I go to restaurants. I always tip people in the service industry, period. If I can, if they accept tips, right? Because I respect the work that they do. A lot of people in our community treat people who are in the service industry like garbage. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of us don't want to go into certain fields, because we don't think that those fields are respectable. They're not sexy. They're not glossy. You know, we want a man that wears a suit and tie to work every day and has the energy and time to hang out with us after work. We don't want a grimy, dirty man coming back from a construction site who's too tired to have a conversation with us. And that's fair, right? We want the man who has the resources to go on vacation, who has the corner office, who is a C executive. And again, that's not a bad thing, because there are lots of lawyers and financiers and people in Wall Street and bankers with those positions. But that's not the majority of the Black population. And I'm not saying those people don't bring value to our society, but we as a culture puts a rapper on a pedestal above a teacher. Okay, we put an athlete, a basketball player, a baseball player, a football player, we put them above a sanitation worker. People who are in the service industry with trades and education and skills, they're the bedrock of society. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, plumbers, electricians, construction workers, they're the bedrock of society. You cannot have a functioning society who do that kind of work. Everybody can't be a goddamn drug dealer. Everybody can't be a stripper. Everybody can't be a singer or a rapper or an athlete. Those are not skilled trades. Suppose I need a house built. Who am I going to ask? A rapper? I can't imagine marrying a man with big muscles and he can't fix nothing in the house. That's insane to me. That's a turnoff for me personally. I like handy people. People who create things of value in society. Yes, there's a place for entertainment. That's what's up. There's a place for the music and the stripping and whatever. It is what it is, right? If there wasn't a place, it wouldn't be there. But how many reality shows do we have about strippers and rappers and hoes and thoughts? How many? With the exception of Candy and Phaedra, most of the women on the Real Housewives franchise were housewives because they were married to wealthy men who were hardworking men, or not wealthy, but well-to-do men who worked hard for what they have, okay? And so why weren't they highlighted? Why weren't they paid for their contribution to society and their families? Why are we celebrating a bunch of women spending money all day drinking and fighting over nonsense? And this is my point. So again, I can understand why Marceau, who I think is a clout chaser, would think that Sheree is an upgrade, because he doesn't really value a woman for what she has to offer. He values a woman for the status symbol of what she represents, right? I have a wife. I don't really care about her humanity, what she has to offer. Just, you know, I have a wife. That's it. She's just there to serve my needs and to take care of the kids. So yeah, for him to say that, like, does he think that Sheree is an upgrade from his own wife? Tisha? The mother of your kids? Your business partner? Is she an upgrade automatically because she's more famous? What is your value system if you think that a woman who's famous just for being famous has more value than a woman who built 2 businesses from scratch, 2 successful ones? They weren't huge businesses because they're still young and they just started out. But why would you put that woman on a pedestal above Melody? Because she's more famous? A lot of men do this, and a lot of men think this way. And this is why a lot of men are clout chasers too. They marry famous, successful women for money, and then they become their managers. Most Black women entertainers who are married to Black men, these men become their managers. Their husbands become their managers because they have nothing else to offer besides like a big mouth and, yeah, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And the successful artist, the woman, tries to appease the man's ego. She tries to make him feel better about not being the breadwinner, so she puts him in charge of managing her money. We saw what happened to Wendy Williams. We saw what happened to Mary J. Blige. We saw what happened to Toni Braxton. This is nothing new. Okay, so back to my point. This is no shade against Sheree. I'm sure she's a nice person, and she has a really valuable piece of real estate in Atlanta in a really hot market, and I'm sure a lot of her net worth comes from that property. But what does that have to do with Martell? She's not going to give Martell that house. Like I said, she can bring Martell into the room and invite him to parties and put him on magazine covers, but what is he going to do to stay in that space? What is he going to do to make sure he capitalizes on those opportunities? That's what he needed Melody for. Melody was able to take his ideas and grow them into successful businesses and projects, right? They were a great team together initially, and then Martell felt some kind of way for reasons we've already discussed. So that's why I don't think that Sheree is automatically an upgrade just because she's more famous. What else is she bringing to the table to help Martell besides her fame? Now, for someone like Marceau, he may be able to capitalize on opportunities that she brings to him, but that requires skill and work ethic and discipline and patience, none of which Martell has. I think Martell is good at like constructing properties and stuff like that, and he's a good schmoozer and perhaps a negotiator even. He has some skills, which is why he and Melody worked well together. But does he have what it takes to build upon the resources and the exposure that Sheree would give him by bringing him into her circle of doctors and lawyers and, you know, professional people who work for a living? I still don't know why Martell is not doing physical fitness. They both do that, Sheree and Martell. Why doesn't he open up his own gym just like Lewis did? He loves working out. He has a nice body. Why wouldn't he do that? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. But it is what it is. He may not want to do that. But yeah, if Martell and Sheree broke up, I wouldn't be surprised if it was because of his messy interactions with Arion and other stuff he has going on. He's not really good for her brand. That's another thing. Martell is not good for Sheree's brand. Once you get past the exterior and people find out like what's happening with him behind the scenes and the way he treats women, the way he treated his mistress of 8 years, breadcrumbing her and stringing her along while allowing her to disrespect the mother of his 4 kids, who pretty much helped him to become who he is. That's not a good look for him. And as Melody said before, she married Martell when he had crooked teeth, a receding hairline, and no money in the bank. And so she was able to clean him up a little bit, shine him up, buff him up, whatever, to make his looks reflect the way he wanted to be respected in society. She pretty much upgraded him, or they upgraded each other. And what did Martell do with the opportunity? What did Martell do with the opportunities that him and his wife created together? Or the opportunities that his wife was creating for them? Both ways, right? Because they both worked together at some point. What did he do with that? He squandered them on a mistress, spending hard-earned cash on a woman who brought nothing to the table but her booty. Just like Antoine Walker or Evelyn Lozada. Just like these men who date these industry thoughts. These women bring nothing to the table and they can't build with the resources that they're given. All the money that Martell was so-called giving Arion, thousands of dollars here and there, Melody probably could have flipped that and turned that into some sort of business. Nobody's given Melody anything, and she's created something from nothing. That is an asset. That is somebody who adds value to any room that they're in, any relationship they're in. That's just the way it is. No, Melody's not perfect, and that's fine. But has Sheree created products in the past 10 years since she's been famous? 10, 12 years? When she was married to her football player husband, was she using his resources to build something sustainable for the family? Or was she shopping and splurging, right? And again, this is no shade to women who marry men for money. But at the end of the day, if you're not adding value to the household, then essentially you're not an asset, no matter how famous you are. You see what happened with Blac Chyna dating the brother of the most famous reality stars on the planet. You saw what happened with Amber Rose dating the most famous black celebrity on the planet, Kanye West. How did she finagle that relationship into other opportunities besides the slut walk and like a bootleg talk show? What did she create of value that she can pass on to her children? You see what it is? And so yes, she gets child support from Wiz Khalifa and child support from the other dude she had a baby by. That is fine. But at the end of the day, relying on a child support check as your primary source of income, to me, is not a sustainable way to maintain a culture in a community. We need people who work. We need people who build things. Just like our ancestors. We always celebrate our ancestors and their contributions to society. We talk about Black Wall Street and other large black cities that were built by successful black folk, okay? The people who built successful black cities were tradesmen. They were not rappers. They were not strippers. You had some, little bars and clubs here and there, but these are people who are mechanics. These are coal miners. These are electricians and plumbers and dentists and lawyers and doctors. They had skills, and they built a community with those skills. They built a business district that was really successful because they had marketable skills and trades and knowledge. They weren't just shaking their booty all day, every day. They weren't just marrying for money. And the women who married these businessmen, they were taking care of the household, for real. Because back then, there was no TV, right? Back then, there was no washing machine, no microwave, no toaster. Barely had any grocery stores like that. No cars. You got to do everything by foot or by carriage. Everything is cooked from scratch. Everything is cooked from scratch. Clothes are washed from scratch. They sold their own clothes. Like, it was not a game. It was not a game. Everybody had something to contribute to society, including the children, because the children were taught skills to help manage the household. They weren't just given a bunch of games and a bunch of money and a bunch of food with no work attached to it. You have to work for what you want. And so we've gotten away from that as a culture, which is why someone like Marcel would say, yeah, she's an upgrade automatically. Now, if Martell was dating somebody like Beyonce, then I would say, yeah, that makes sense, because Beyonce is a very hardworking, talented woman. She has something to bring to the table besides her looks, okay? But again, the term upgrade is relative. It's relative. Would Beyonce or Sheree be an upgrade compared to Marcel's wife, Tisha, who manages the household and the kids and takes care of business? Is that an upgrade because they're more famous? But are they adding more value to your life? Are they taking care of your kids? Are they managing your household? Or do they just make you look good to other men? Does that make them an asset? That's another problem too. Men valuing the wrong shit, okay? Caring more about the optics. And this is men and women doing this. Caring more about the optics of a marriage and a relationship than actually maintaining the relationship in a healthy way. So yeah, to close it out, Sheree is more successful than Melody. And she's more popular than Melody because she's been on a reality show for over 10 years. And on top of that, she was married to a famous football player who's now retired. And so she's going to have some level of popularity and fame that Melody doesn't have. But that does not automatically make her more valuable than Melody. And I'm not just saying that because I like Melody. I've given several examples of why I believe this as a universal principle. I'm not just applying this to Melody. If we look at Kevin Hunter, Wendy Williams' ex-husband, he's now saying he's broke. So his mistress, who he was financing with Wendy's money, cannot bring anything to the table to help maintain their family. So he's looking to Wendy Williams, who he was cheating on because she was so busy. He's looking for her to spend her busy money to take care of him and his mistress, who he started cheating with because his wife was so busy trying to take care of him and their family. And now you're broke. Less than 2 years after she filed for divorce. Less than a year after the payments for their property stopped. What happened to all the money you got? What happened to it? This is what happens. When people are given opportunities that they did not earn, they will squander them. Yes, Wendy Williams had mental health issues and drug problems and emotional issues. She had all those things. But she is an exceptionally talented broadcaster, an exceptionally talented journalist, and a talk show host. That's her gift. She could not rely on her looks for a man to take care of her. So she brought value to society. She was very entertaining to women and men. I think she's the first Black female radio personality in the Radio Hall of Fame. Okay, an extremely accomplished woman. So the divorce wasn't going to break her. It may have broken her psychologically and emotionally, but financially, she can always make her own bag. She is the value. She is the value. So people may say, oh, Kevin Hunter got tired of looking at Wendy and he upgraded by messing with Sheree because she looks better than Wendy, whatever the case may be. Okay, she looks better according to some people, but does she bring value to the relationship? She does not. Besides being the mother of his illegitimate child. She cannot. So now you're relying on your ex-wife to take care of you and your girlfriend. And you can't even marry this girl because you want to keep the alimony payments coming, right? So this is what happens when people are given opportunities they have not earned. They squander them, just like with Evelyn Lozada. She did not work for the hundreds of thousands of dollars or the millions of dollars that Antoine Walker gave her, okay? Her giving him blowjobs and going on a red carpet with him is not earning nothing, which is why she was not able to make those cash infusions work for her. Imagine giving Melody $500,000 or $250,000 or $100,000. Imagine what she would do with that kind of money, okay? Somebody who built something from nothing, somebody who has a successful skincare line less than 2 years after the divorce. Imagine giving her that kind of money, what she would do with it. That's how you know somebody's an asset. Not because they got a big ass, not because they're more famous, not because they got muscles, but because they can take what you give to them and turn it into something more valuable. And this is why I said that Martell didn't really appreciate the hard work that Melody was putting into their businesses, because he sabotaged it. And he may have sabotaged it because he did not appreciate how much work went into managing the companies, because he didn't have his builder's license. So because he didn't have his builder's license, he didn't have to bring work home with him. Martell was off the clock at what, 4 or 5 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock when the construction workers would leave the sites. Melody probably had to work till 6, 7, 8 o'clock through the night and bring work home with her, because if they have business contacts overseas for supplies, then she would have to be in communication with people from different time zones. That's just what it is. And so Martell complained about not getting his meat sucked while his wife is trying to juggle everything. This is what happens when people do not appreciate what they're given because they didn't work for it. Martell did some stuff, but I bet Melody did more stuff than he did. And it is what it is, fine. Partnerships aren't always 50-50. But anyway, so what do you guys think? Do you think that Sheree is automatically an upgrade for Melody because she's more famous? Or if she is an upgrade, why would she be one compared to Melody? I know Arion is quite obvious, but if Marceau was referring to Melody in his statement about Sheree being an upgrade, why do you think he would say that? Okay. All right, guys, I look forward to reading your feedback. If you want to order a tarot or astrology reading, you can go to the website, fill out the order entry form. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon. Happy holidays. Yay.